This is Stories from the Stones, and today I'm looking at St Giles Cathedral. But is it a cathedral? The problem is that to be a cathedral, you have to have a bishop, and the Church of Scotland doesn't have any. This is because of the Reformation. Now, the difference between the Church of Scotland and the Church of England is that the Church of England was established by King Henry VIII, who made himself head of the church. So the monarch leads the Church of England. The Church of Scotland, though, doesn't have a hierarchy at all. God is the head of the church. Therefore, there are no bishops. And without a bishop, you cannot have a cathedral. So St Giles is actually the high kirk, the high church of Edinburgh. So you might well be wondering, why is it referred to as St Giles Cathedral today? Even outside it, the wall declares St Giles Cathedral. That's because for a very short period of time, there was a bishop installed at St Giles, because King Charles I of Scotland and England was trying to establish himself as the head of the Church of Scotland. But that's actually not really what I want to focus on today. Because this evening I made a realisation. I realised that at some point this is going to be over. We are not going to be in lockdown anymore. I know, it feels like some sort of wild, romantic daydream right now, but that's just not what history teaches us as how the world works. Lockdowns are not new. Quarantine is the oldest medical system for treating severely contagious diseases. We've just forgotten because we haven't, fortunately, experienced one for so long. Famous lockdowns to occur within Edinburgh was in 1645 when the Black Death visited. A lockdown, a quarantine, was established where it was believed to have begun, Mary King's Close. Today, a very popular visitor attraction. Now, when the restrictions were finally lifted and people could once again leave their homes and go out onto the streets of Edinburgh, the first place that many of them would have gone to was St Giles. Once it is declared safe and legal to do so, I wanted to go to St Giles because it is considered that a religious site has been in that location for over 1,000 years. It has witnessed peace and war, calamity and calm, and throughout it all, it has been at the very centre of the community of Edinburgh for hundreds of generations. It has seen plague, fire, bombs, and constitutional devastation. People have been executed on the steps in front of it, cannons have been dragged along the street beside it, and zeppelins have flown above it. It is the place where religious tensions boiled over, leading to a riot that led to an international rebellion, a civil war throughout 3 kingdoms that would see a king beheaded and a short-lived republic established. This has been the location where people have gathered together to rejoice, to grieve on a personal and national level, but it has also been the place that has seen millennia of the minutiae of human existence. Births represented as baptisms in the records, marriages, funerals and burials. It is so easy to forget St Giles's graveyard. When it is talked about, it always says something that was and no longer is. But that's not the case. It's still there. The bodies now turn to bones beneath layers of tarmac, upon which the lawyers of the High Court park their cars, and tourists trot after tour guides, admiring the architecture, blissfully unaware that beneath their feet are at least 400 years of city residents.